Between 1334 and 1338, the Ottoman Empire achieved significant territorial expansion in northwestern Anatolia, marked by the capture of several key Byzantine cities, including Gemlik and Armutlu. These conquests represented more than mere military victories. They reflected the growing strategic sophistication of Ottoman forces and the systematic weakening of Byzantine influence in the region. Over this brief but transformative period, the Ottomans solidified their position as an emerging power capable of coordinated campaigns across diverse terrains. The campaign began with meticulous planning and careful assessment of the target cities. Gemlik, a coastal settlement with fortified walls and access to vital trade routes, was particularly attractive due to its strategic location along the Sea of Marmara. Armutlu, located slightly to the east, offered similar advantages and served as a gateway to inland Anatolian regions. By controlling these urban centers, the Ottomans aimed to secure trade corridors, disrupt Byzantine logistics, and establish a foundation for future military operations. Ottoman forces approached these campaigns with a combination of direct assault, siege tactics, and calculated diplomacy. In many cases, the city's defenders were already weakened by prior conflicts, limited resources, and declining morale. Siege engines and coordinated infantry maneuvers tested city walls, while cavalry units patrolled surrounding regions to prevent reinforcements. When possible, Ottoman commanders also employed negotiations and incentives to encourage local leaders and populations to surrender peacefully, minimizing destruction and ensuring smoother governance after conquest. The capture of Gemlik in the early phase of this campaign demonstrated the effectiveness of this approach. After several weeks of sustained siege operations, Ottoman forces breached the city's defenses, securing control over its fortifications, harbors, and trade infrastructure. Importantly, local residents were often allowed to retain their properties and continue their religious practices, a policy that facilitated integration and reduced the likelihood of rebellion. With Gemlik under Ottoman administration, the state gained a valuable coastal hub, strengthening both its economic and military reach. Armutlu fell shortly thereafter through a combination of land-based siege tactics and strategic isolation. Ottoman forces effectively cut off supply lines and reinforcements, creating logistical pressure on the defenders. The psychological impact of Gemlik's fall, coupled with the threat of encirclement, led to the city's surrender. Ottoman officials quickly moved to establish administrative structures, maintain order, and encourage trade continuity. The policy of pragmatic governance not only stabilized Armutlu, but also sent a message to neighboring Byzantine settlements about the benefits of surrender versus prolonged resistance. The broader implications of these victories were substantial. By 1338, Ottoman forces had effectively extended control over key corridors in northwestern Anatolia, connecting inland territories to the coast. This expansion weakened Byzantine influence by eroding the empire's ability to control trade routes, levy taxes, and mobilize military resources in the region. Strategic urban centers like Gemlik and Armutlu became critical nodes in the emerging Ottoman administrative network, facilitating the coordination of military, economic, and diplomatic initiatives. Economic benefits accompanied these territorial gains. Both Gemlik and Armutlu were important centers of commerce, with markets, artisan workshops, and ports that had previously supported Byzantine trade. The Ottomans, recognizing the value of continuity, ensured that these economic structures remained functional. Merchants and farmers experienced relative stability under Ottoman oversight, while trade routes connecting coastal cities to inland regions became more secure. These conditions encouraged economic growth, increased revenue, and reinforced the financial foundation of further campaigns. From a military perspective, the capture of these cities highlighted the growing sophistication of Ottoman operations. Coordinated sieges, combined arms tactics, and strategic patience allowed relatively modest forces to overcome well-defended positions. Commanders like Orhan Ghazi and his lieutenants demonstrated an understanding of operational logistics, troop discipline, and battlefield psychology that would become hallmarks of Ottoman military success in subsequent decades. Socially, the conquests introduced new patterns of governance and population management. Ottoman officials worked with local leaders to mediate disputes, oversee taxation, and maintain public order. Religious tolerance and protection of property rights encouraged populations to remain rather than flee, which contributed to urban stability. The careful integration of diverse communities facilitated cultural continuity while asserting Ottoman authority, a pragmatic approach that minimized resistance and allowed the empire to absorb new territories efficiently. The psychological impact of these conquests extended beyond the captured cities. Neighboring Byzantine settlements observed the rapid Ottoman successes and increasingly questioned the viability of resisting further expansion. The perception of Ottoman strength, coupled with policies that emphasized order and continuity for compliant populations, created incentives for cooperation or negotiated surrender rather than open conflict. This strategic advantage amplified the effect of each conquest, making subsequent campaigns easier to execute. Historians regard the period between 1334 and 1338 as a formative stage in the consolidation of Ottoman power. The capture of Gemlik, Armutlu, and other important urban centers established a territorial framework that would serve as a springboard for expansion toward more distant regions. It demonstrated that Ottoman authority was capable of integrating military conquest, administrative organization, economic development, and social management into a cohesive system. These victories also influenced long-term military planning. The ability to secure coastal cities underscored the importance of naval support and coastal defense in future operations. Lessons learned during these campaigns informed the construction of ships, training of naval personnel, and development of maritime strategy, laying the foundation for subsequent Ottoman influence over the seas, connecting Anatolia to the Balkans and beyond. In conclusion, the capture of important Byzantine cities between 1334 and 1338 represented a major turning point in Ottoman expansion. By securing Gemlik, Armutlu, and other strategic urban centers, the Ottomans consolidated their presence in northwestern Anatolia, weakened Byzantine authority, and established critical infrastructure for trade, administration, and military operations. Through a combination of decisive military action, strategic diplomacy, and pragmatic governance, the Ottoman state transformed these conquests into lasting assets, setting the stage for continued growth and regional dominance in the decades to follow.